Welcome to the My AIM Career Mentoring Workshop, Do What I Love and Love What I Do. My name is Braille from Asia Institute of Mentoring, and with me is Justin, my co-host from Metropolitan YMCA. We both will be your hosts for today. So I'll just share a little bit about My AIM and what is this initiative about. My AIM is a collaboration between Metropolitan YMCA and Asia Institute of Mentoring to empower youth aged 17 to 25 years old through mentoring. So many of you may ask, what's the difference between My AIM and other youth mentoring platforms? The difference that we have first is that we organize monthly workshops by industry professionals that focus on career preparation, planning, and resilience. Next, we also equip our youth mentees at the end of their mentorship journey to actually join us for a half-a-day youth mentor skills workshop. We believe that mentoring skills are life skills that will not just help them to mentor themselves, but also allow them with the skill sets to mentor their community at large. So this will help our youths to not just excel as great leaders, but also be a champion in their life's journey. The other thing that's different for this program is that in My AIM, every single mentee and mentor that's on the program will be equipped with a personal online mentoring portal that includes an e-journal and tools that will be able to help them to document their mentoring journey. More importantly, tonight, we hope you all be energized by our youth group mentoring segment and take this opportunity to network and learn from like-minded peers with similar career aspirations. So let me now hand over to Justin to kick off this workshop. Justin, please.
Thank you, Braille. I will now provide a brief overview of this evening's events. Today's workshop will start with a sharing from our two guest speakers, who are young, esteemed professionals who have experienced success in pursuing their passions. Subsequently, there will be a breakout room session where everyone will have a taste of the mentoring experience. We will now begin with the sharing session, which will be moderated by Mr. James Campbell. James, originally from the UK, has spent the last 20 years based in Singapore. Multiple technology leadership roles have seen him embrace the different cultures and continue to develop his passion of enabling people and thriving on customer and employee success. Moving into the professional coaching and mentoring environment was an easy decision for James to make. To date, he has worked with over 150 professionals and is involved with the mentoring organizations around the globe. He is here today as one of AIM's certified mentors and Learning Circle hosts. Without further ado, I will now hand over the time to James, who will kickstart the sharing by the speakers.
Okay, thank you, Justin. Thank you, Braille, for the warm welcome. I'm super excited to be here participating in tonight's events. Having been involved since day one in the planning, I know how much hard work has been put in to get this show on the road. Coaching and mentoring are huge passions of mine because I get to meet great people almost every day, and certainly being closely involved with both the MYMCA and Asia Institute of Mentoring continues to support that passion. So when I was asked if I could moderate tonight's panel, my only request was that I could choose the speakers. With that in mind, I thought it was important to invite people who will, age-wise, resonate with the younger audience and be able to talk comfortably about the courage and conviction required in getting to where they are today and the journey they went through. So my first thought for the audience: when you have a dream, never give up on achieving that, but recognize early that it is up to each of us to make the appropriate actions to support that dream. Second thought for everybody: finding great people who provide support and encouragement and fill your lives with positivity, finding the right mentor. Hence the reason why I hope you are all here looking for those special people. So just a bit of fun to get everybody engaged in the chat. So who is here to find that special mentor? Just type yes in the chat. Let's have a look at you. Okay, we very much want this session to be interactive, so please take advantage of the session. Third thought, you will never know the answers you are seeking if you do not ask the right questions when the time is right, and the time is now. So please use the chat box to ask your questions or come off mute and be seen and heard. We have the lovely Melissa supporting us, and she will be monitoring the chat because no doubt I will get too engrossed in what's being shared. Okay, so it gives me great pleasure to say I invited a couple of my younger friends. Actually, most friends are younger, but Vinny and Jaslyn Chan to share with us tonight. I'm not going to say anything more about the ladies, but hand over the virtual mic to them to introduce themselves. So I will ask Vinny to kick off, and Vinny, when you're finished, will you hand over to Jaslyn?
Sounds good. Thanks so much, James, for the introduction. So to introduce myself, to start off, I'm heading up the AI and technology recruitment team at NextWave Partners. So NextWave Partners, I'm actually leading a team of 10 and 10 specialist recruiters who are very passionate about helping business that are at the forefront of technologies to build their team. So this can span across the areas like AI, IoT, cybersecurity, data science, and product. Then beyond recruitment, I'm also running Girls in Tech, Singapore chapter as a volunteer co-MD. So Girls in Tech is actually a global non-profit organization. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and empower females who are keen to get into technology, or anyone basically who wants to learn about technology. Great. Passing on to you, Jess.
Hi guys, I am Jaslyn, the co-founder of Ayuga. Ayuga is a Singapore home and lifestyle brand with a valuation of more than 50 million today. So we founded the company 4 years back in 2017, and we currently have 17 stores in Singapore and 4 in Indonesia. So what makes Ayuga very different from other retailers is our transparent pricing, where we tell our customers how much it costs to make every single product and even our own profit margins. So with that being said, transparency is really a huge part of our business. And I like to say that we are a human, the people behind the brand. So I started off being an employee just like anyone who just graduated actually, and worked my way up to co-founder in a very non-conventional way. So I'm really excited today to kickstart this mentoring experience and hope to contribute back by sharing what I myself would have wanted to know when I was much younger, in my early 20s, or even before I even graduated or went on to uni. Yeah, so thanks for having us today.
Thank you, ladies, for kicking us off. I'm sure it has not been an easy journey, and I would love to hear more about your early life. So especially around what point did you decide that you wanted to make a difference in your life? Where were you? What were you experiencing at the time? And then potentially talk a little bit about challenges and some of the issues that you faced. Jez, if I may continue with you.
Yeah. So actually, my life change is not as dramatic as Vinny's one, because I would think that my background is slightly more privileged, because I did not have any student loans to pay off to start my adult life with. So, but what I completely agree is that any life change actually requires everyone to do a very simple action, which is to decide. So over 6 years ago, about 7 years ago, when I was 23 years old, I was feeling really lost after quitting my first full-time job. And that was when I took a gap year. So during that year, I connected with many business owners who led a very different life from me back then. So that was when I realized I was working towards a societal status symbol, like having a branded Chanel bag, luxury Rolex watches, having a car and a house as a form of success. So I'm sure many younger adults in their early 20s or late teens can agree with this, because this is what the Singapore society has taught us. And this is what success looks like. But the people I've met during that gap year prioritize other things that really shape my current concept of wealth and success. And these entrepreneurs that I met have the time, freedom, choices that are, not spoken about, not discussed in our family units, in our cell groups in church. And these people, they love having the option to live anywhere they want and dress however they want. So I met someone who works remotely in different countries or cities every single month. And it was really an eye-opener to connect with him, to just understand how life is like for him and what are the choices that he has made to lead him to the life that he's living. So it was then I knew in my heart that I really wanted a different work life that has a greater meaning beyond just chasing an image of what success means to the society. So the seed that was planted in me made me realize that living a life of my dreams could be really real if I would just take the leap of faith. But I was definitely afraid of not having the external security that came with having a secure job. So especially so when all my peers around me are working in brand name companies and have the luxury to take multiple vacations every year. So it's a very different experience because I dive headfirst into entrepreneurship. Yeah, so I did not enjoy any of that up till today, up till I got married and went on my honeymoon in 2018. So I did not take a single vacation up to that point. And my honeymoon was awesome because it was the first time in I think 2 or 3 years that I've taken an overseas trip. Yeah, but when I look at my dreams and who I am at that point, I was more afraid of becoming who I don't want to be and doing something that I don't love along the way than really feeling at peace with who I was deep at heart. So then I decided to start afresh and embark on this Ayuga journey with my co-founders. So I think it is really normal to feel very lost, especially when you have pretty successful family members and friends around you. And they create this invisible pressure to succeed. And you have to know what you want to do or work from or work as from a very early stage. But everybody's growth and pace is very different in life. And in our generation, I feel that it is super important for us to advocate this so that we can have more fruitful conversations to help our next generational leaders unlock their strengths and passions. Yeah, so I would love for Winnie to continue because her story is a very, very inspiring story. She's actually my best friend from secondary school days, and she's still, the humble and very inspiring girl that I knew from so many years back. Yeah.
That's so sweet, Jess.
Can I just stop you, Vin? Can I just stop you?
No worries. Go ahead.
Jazz, you made a very interesting comment, and I just want to get your answer while it's fresh in this old mind. You said, don't want to be someone, you said something along the lines, I don't want to be someone I don't want to be. What did you mean by that?
I don't want to have a successful image, but not feel at peace with my decision. Yeah, I want to be a global citizen. I want to have the choices to live in NYC, in China, before I turn 40 with my family. And being in the traditional route of working in, brand name companies, bigger MNCs, don't really give me that option. So if I were to just be a marketing associate all the way, I would not have progressed to meet so many people that I've met in my entrepreneurship journey to, really pick their brains on the best strategy forward, because it just doesn't open up these opportunities for you to do so in a very traditional way of working for others. So I knew back then that I am open to working for others, but the values must align with mine. So Ayuga is actually structured in a very unique way, as in we've been working from home for the longest time, and we intend to stay status quo even after COVID is over, because we are a digital first company. And as higher management, we all have families, and we wish to prioritize our family work-life balance by giving the capacity to spend time as you wish back to our employees. So in order to create such a movement, such a culture, it is impossible for me to do so in the companies that I was employed in previously, especially when I'm so young. Who is going to listen to me and give me the opportunity to do something like that if I don't start out something of my own? So that was when I really bit the bullet and just went ahead and, like spend that few years really grinding and just putting my all into this business. Although the payout, the tangible results back then were really, really low. I was earning much lesser than my peers, but what I gained in return is so much more. Yeah, and that is something that cannot be measured, the intangible side of things. So things like time, your freedom. Now I am a mother of one, and I have all the time and freedom to spend time with him as and when I want. Of course, with all of us being at home because of COVID, but before COVID happened, I did have the luxury to bring my mom out anytime she feels lethargic for a cup of coffee. And I think this is something that is not afforded by a lot of people in the working environment.
Thanks, Jazz. That's awesome. Vinny, the spotlight's on you.
Yes, I think Jazz has set the expectation very high. But also I know Jazz has gone through an incredible journey. It's been hard work also to actually see, and I'm also proud of where she is right now. And I know there's further milestones that we'll continue to see for Jazz or Ayuga. Then on my side, I actually see my story more like plain old Jane, like don't set too high expectation. But I think kind of getting everyone to think of like, have you all thought about like the time where you felt like your first, whether we call it enlightened or when you have a realization? So I think for me, it's back when I was 14 years old that I had a realization or enlightenment that I realized that my family is actually, we fall under the lower income group. Why is such a turning point is because it was really unexpected for me. Firstly, because I think when we are younger in primary school, we don't have that concept of money. We don't really have the full grasp of it. And I didn't have any indication that our family is in the lower income group also because my parents give my brother and I like anything or everything that we need. We are also not spoiled to ask for like the world. So they themselves, my parents are very, very frugal, just so that they are able to give us a little bit more basically and allow us to enjoy like a regular child. So why I realized that is also an interesting story in that when I was in primary school, I used to have a lot of good friends that are also in the lower income group, and they will have food coupons when they go for recess during the break. So my mom will actually give me like 50 cents or $1 extra, just so that I can buy extra food to actually share with my friends who are using food coupons. So that's why I didn't really think about that until it got to a point where I realized that, oh, actually a teacher told me that like I could also apply for that because we fall under the income. So I actually asked my mom, why didn't we sign up for it? Because then that's when I realized we belong to that group. And then what she said actually struck me when she mentioned she didn't want me to feel any different from anyone else. And if we could afford it, then we don't have to take it. It's always better to give than to receive. So that has been what I've been brought out to over the years, basically. So then I guess for me, in some form, that really motivated me. And I've got a mindset that in everything that I do, I want to give the best of it, or I want to make the best of it. So that was age 14. So I actually started my first holiday job as a sales promoter. So going door to door, knocking on people's doors, selling limited edition markers. And I earned like $1 for selling every box, for each box. And I also go on to take up quite a number of roles like during every school holiday. So I will go and take time to do waitressing or usher at the museum or telemarketer. Even after junior college, I decided to start working right away. And I worked at a hospital as a patient service associate. I also did IT support when the hospital were going through a paperless phase. Student care teacher and all this while also giving tuition. So after trying all this, I actually know these are not the career that I like. So I guess similar to Jess, like we know what we don't want. And I also realized like I don't want to go down NIE or I don't want to go down this route, but I do like teaching. I do like helping people. So I didn't quite know what to do, but I do know that I like business. So I went into a private uni. In my final year, I actually had a really good opportunity to start my own book business. So that was really fun. Didn't feel like work at all. And then after 1.5 years, I actually decided to go back into industry so that I don't miss on the experience. I had a dream job that I had to turn down. So even to date, I'm still very appreciative of that. So reason I had to turn down the dream job was also it is a social enterprise to work for social enterprise with very meaningful. They are giving back to a community and very great initiative. But at the point in time, I know that my financial needs as the breadwinner of the family is actually far greater than my own self-actualization, if that makes sense. So with the limited options, I actually by chance got into recruitment, but was very grateful for all the mentors that I had throughout my career and grow to really love my job. And now working with my team of very passionate recruiters, and I managed to build up my career from there. So that's fast forward 7 years to where I am right now. And every day I'm excited. I feel like I'm learning new things in this journey.
Thanks, Vinny. You made an interesting point about self-actualization. How hard was, I mean, you brushed over the decision to walk away from your dream job because it didn't match all your values.
It didn't pay me enough, basically. So reality was that I need to have bread on the table. Yeah.
So even at that age, and I'm assuming you was, well, you're still young now, but you were a lot younger. You were able to clearly define what you needed to move forward. Okay. So you've mentioned mentoring. So how did you both discover mentoring and sort of, you know, how has that experience been for you? I'll continue with you, Vin. So
yeah. So I'm quite grateful, like along the years, I have a number of clients or candidates, they have turned into mentor for me. And also they are selfless in terms of sharing the information or guiding me along. But I would say a formal mentorship program, the first one that I got into is Girls in Tech. And that's also how I know James. So it was actually a 6 months program for emerging leaders, young professional with less than 5 years experience who are going down the leadership route to get on an accelerated path. So I got matched with James, and James has been my mentor, even though it was a 6 months program. But this is like 4 years back already, but we actually take it forward. And until now, we still meet up regularly, and James has come to become my life mentor. So definitely very grateful for you, James. And so that journey, I felt like during that formal mentorship program, we went through a number of mentor-mentees workshop. There was a lot of interactive session. And I felt like that point is quite pivotal also in my career. Because before I joined the program, I had all this fear, like fear of public speaking, and I have self-doubt and just a lot of things that I'm not confident about. And I think James has been quite pivotal to, I think it's just having him there with that undying belief in me. And through that phase, I really see an acceleration in my career. And I think James have witnessed that. So that was my most impressionable mentorship, I would say. And thereafter, that's when I start to look at how do I also step out into a mentorship role to help whether the next generation or peer level, or whether it's even reverse mentoring, to in some form of way be able to contribute back, which is also why I eventually also got into Girls in Tech to contribute back to the community.
Yeah, thanks, Vin. I have to say, formal mentoring, the programs are the best way to start. I mean, I was a virgin mentor. I was clueless really in the aspects, and I think through the journey, and you mentioned the journey, it goes from, I mean, I remember that you know, you brought your objective to the table was to do a presentation, and for the you wanted to be strong enough to do a presentation, and that was going to be our sort of 6 months journey. Well, you know, once you've got the confidence through yourself, I mean, you did that in the first week or the second week, and then the next time we met, it's like, wow, where do we go from here? So, I mean, we can talk a little bit more about the passions of mentoring relationships. Jazz, what about your good self?
For myself, there were countless moments in my life where I've definitely leaned on someone that I trust for advice or assistance, both in church or out of church. So these people have actually helped to guide and shape who I am and my present situation very, very much. As well as, you know, whenever I have a crazy idea for the future, they are usually my support system that I lean upon for good advice. Yeah, so the current education system for myself, I feel it does not prepare youths of our time for the sheer number of challenges and changes expected in the real world, especially if you were to start your own business. So I learned a lot from wise business owners, entrepreneurs whom I reach out to individually, passionately, and I would like to just pass this on to the next generation of leaders, because there is always this fear of inactivity versus this excited fear of actually doing something. And it just takes one action to kickstart this momentum. So I feel that a lot of times what my mentors have done for me is to encourage me to take that leap of faith and to actually put my inspirations, my dreams, my aspirations into actions. And that really helped to pave the way for just for things to develop along the way and for opportunities to open up. Yeah, so things like communication skills, how to learn in your own way and choose to say no to things that you don't want to learn. I think these are not cookie cutter mods or modules that you can actually pick up from school, because school would tell you to, you know, study 9 subjects, you need to get an A on some, you need to get straight A's to get into a certain tertiary education and all that. But in the real world, it doesn't really apply like that. Yeah, so mentoring for me helped me to open new doors for new knowledge to come in, and I can see the sense of fulfillment, and I feel it myself when I lead my own internal team. But this is really my first Virgin experience mentoring someone out of my organization. Yeah, so I do really want to see the reverse engineering, reverse mentoring happen in very fluid ways like that as well. Yeah, so that's also one of the reasons why I would like to take this up under the encouragement of Vinny. Yeah, because Vinny has benefited a lot from her mentorship with James, and I was really excited to meet him and to be a part of this whole conversation.
Thank you, Jazz. I mean, interesting. What did you look for in your, let's say, your first mentor? What did you look for?
I looked for the knowledge that I don't have. So I remember when Ayuga was just a baby, less than a year old, I kind of hit plateau in digital growth. So my growth was stagnant for 3 months, and I really needed to do just like something else. And I had a seed planted in my head that I wanted to do retail. Yeah, so I got the idea from shopping around in the malls pre-COVID times, and it was like a really leisurely afternoon. And that was when it hit me that, you know, like Singapore being a satellite city, we grew up in shopping malls. We spend the most time in shopping malls. So then why is my brand not in a shopping mall? Yeah, so how do I get my brand into a shopping mall? So having a retail retail shop is all that I can think of. And what I did from there was to connect with all the industry leaders in the retail industry and just reach out to them, co-message them whether they would like to meet up for a cup of coffee and just ask them questions, have them open up about their journey and any learning points that I can gain knowledge from. And that was when it opened my eyes up to another way of acquiring users, another way of interacting with your customers, connecting with your customers in person. And it's actually not that scary to think about it, because although there are overheads like rental, like manpower to take care of, but these people have done it, and they've done it so well that they have done it their entire lives or their entire career. So these experienced leaders actually have a lot to share, and they are dying to share as long as you take the first step to actually reach out to them and be nice about it and respect their time as well. But they are more than willing to just share with you whatever they know. I think it's just human nature that humans are just intrinsically very helpful. Yeah, so if I am lost in Orchard Road, like a tourist comes up to me and asks me, where is this place? It's a natural instinct to just help that person locate that building or that landmark that the person is looking for. So I feel that as humans, you just have this desire to help other people. But a lot of times when we are in a very junior, inexperienced role, we tend to be very fearful of how this will backfire on us. But a lot of times, like 90% of the time, it won't happen. And the worst that can come out of it is actually just a no. Sorry, I don't have time for you. And that's fine because it builds resilience, it builds character to actually take rejections as well.
Thanks, Jazz. I mean, you mentioned the concept reverse mentoring. One of the passions that I truly love about this whole process is that I learn off every single mentee. I don't like the word mentee. Every single mentoring partner that I enter into a partnership, a relationship with. And I think the concept, and we have a lot of potential new, younger people who are looking for maybe their first mentorship. And I think one of the things that I would like people to do or think about is it's about, you look for somebody who can help you in the moment. For example, even though I've been very fortunate and I've worked in a lot of places, there's a specific place I want to get know. I'd never been to Brazil. So I reached out to somebody in Brazil to mentor me on the culture and concepts of Brazil. And it was a fantastic experience because I learned a lot. Rather than second guessing and trying to make my own mind up, it's better if somebody else helps me to understand that. So, Vinny, what are your experiences now on reverse mentoring?
Yeah. So I thought also to add on for Jess one, because both of you touched on the interesting part, also thinking about the expertise that you want to get opinion or get insights or learn about. Whereas not sure if you know, James, but like one thing that came out, like when I felt really happy that we got matched, and one of the factor is I felt that you were someone that will help me to get out of my comfort zone, to put it that way. And I feel like that's also going to the concept that Jess mentioned, to not be afraid that it's out of your comfort zone, and to give it a try, and to go on and try it, because the worst that can happen might not be as bad as what you thought. And also then coming to looking at reverse mentoring, because I know, James, you also mentioned with our journey, you do feel like it's reverse mentoring. I do feel like it's two-way. I like the term mentoring partner. I think that's a better term to describe, because it's hard to say whether it's hard to quantify like how much you're getting from the other person. But I think reverse mentoring is when it might not be a expertise that you are providing, but it could be a soft skills or even being an inspiration, or from in terms of the confidence or storytelling, or being a moral support to go through the journey together. So I think also no pressure on whether there is that specific expertise, or you don't have to be 20 years experience, or you don't have to know everything in the world. No one will know everything. And there's always things to learn. Like even recruiting in AI for 7 years, I still feel like every day I'm learning new things. So I think for someone who are young, so we have people probably as young as 17 years old in the chat with us today, there's always something you can help from the reverse mentoring perspective with your mentoring partner. It could also be, I always ask my younger consultant to teach me better how to work with social media, even though Jess and I are not that old, but at the same time, they have a fresh perspective, they have a new way of doing things. I just realized my new consultant, a new joiner, he has his own gaming channel on YouTube. So that's pretty cool, because my nephew is telling me he wants to be a YouTuber when he grows up. So those are very new concepts. So it could be something different or about digital that is actually their expertise in the digital era, or it could be an area that they are actually able to value add. So I think it's a joy partnership to find out, to get to know each other, and also find out how you're benefiting through this journey, to actually work together, whether it might be very different path or goals you're working towards.
Thanks,
I would like to add on the topic of fear, because a lot of times when you are a mentee, or when you are younger and the onus is on you to reach out to these mentors that you're looking for, you feel very fearful. But when you become a manager in future, you are also very fearful of revealing your lack of knowledge to your more junior employees. So the fear actually goes both ways. So what you should do when you feel this way is actually to just do it and take action to banish all sorts of fear from your dictionary at all, and just, like, not care about it. Yeah, and address these fears explicitly so that open sharing can be more rewarding for both ends. Yep. So there was this time when I was talking to a middle-aged part-timer in our retail stores, and I was asking her what would be the ideal work-life arrangement be like for her, who is someone in her mid-50s, nearing retirement age. What is in her list of wants and needs when it comes to a job? And she told me one thing that really stuck with me. She said that, Aga, auntie is already very old. So I just want to, spend a few hours doing some form of work to tell myself that I am still valuable to society. But bulk of my time, I want to spend with my family and my friends, because this is what everybody works towards too, isn't it? Yeah, and I think as a manager, sometimes it's so easy for you to just sidetrack and feel that, as long as you're putting in your hours, you are valued more. But a lot of times it's not that. So for a person like that, if I have an employee like that and I don't listen to her, I don't hear her out, she will ultimately leave Ayuga. But what I did was to actually give her shorter hours. I let her come as and when she wants, and I'll plan my schedule around it, so that she feels very fulfilled and she is still with us here today, in a very different, doing a very different type of work in the warehouse. But that is another conversation altogether. Yeah, but it just goes to show that it doesn't matter where you're coming from. The fear is always going to be there. So when we are fearful of sharing, the other party may be fearful of sharing as well. But when one party actually just takes the lead to share first, I think this actually makes change happen. Yeah, and it makes the sharing come alive. And that's when you can meet in the middle to, have a more rewarding conversation and arrangement for both ends.
Thanks, Jess. That's an awesome concept. Time is going so quickly. if I was to ask you ladies a couple of do's and a couple of don'ts for anyone that's starting in the mentoring relationship from a non-mentor, well, actually both. Let's just put it both ways. So a couple of do's and a couple of don'ts from each of you. Whichever. Vin, you want to go? A couple of do's and a couple of don'ts.
Yeah, sure. So I think do go in with an open mind for sure, and use the time, take the time to really get to know your mentor and have your mentor to get to know you. Because sometimes it could be the first step to even beginning self-awareness of knowing yourself, like a discovery journey together. And then that help to open your mind or open doors and opportunities of knowing where do you want to go down. So definitely going with an open mind. What not to do, I would say also at the same time, probably might sound obvious, but mentors are not fairy godmother or fairy godfather. So don't expect to be grunt like, get me a good job, get me a dream job. So it is not that way. I think ultimately I do feel actually the journey, the one that is leading is the mentee, who should be the one that is taking charge, and you take charge of, it's fully driven by the mentee. You take charge and you articulate what you want. And then that's when the mentor can really fully be able to support you and help you through the journey. But you have to be the one that take charge and lead at the front. And you can kind of think of the mentor being the cheerleader in the background. They could probably make introductions, or with their network, they can share with you life story, journey, but don't expect like things to be given. We do have to work towards what we want.
Thanks,
So
Vin.
that's my point.
Okay.
Yes.
Before I ask Jazz, I'm conscious that we're going to throw it open to, and I know there's a number of questions already coming in. I'd like to sidetrack slightly and ask each of you probably one question from myself, and I seeing that Jazz is unmuted. How do you balance your life?
For work-wise, I try to arrange the most challenging tasks at the very beginning of the day instead of at the end, because I feel more motivated to work after I just had my coffee in the morning and not that much in the afternoon when it's really humid. So I'll usually take the afternoon to spend time with my son and my mom and to have tea time with them before resuming work at a later time in the evening after dinner. So it's a bit unconventional because most people work from 9 to 5, but I realized for me that I cannot concentrate for such a long period of time. So I do work at the timing that is more suitable for myself. Yeah. So I think it takes a lot of awareness and trial and error to get to where I am today. I am also a big believer in setting boundaries. So I love to block out parts of the day for work and play, like I just said, instead of constantly checking in for work. I absolutely refuse to reply emails as and when they come in, and I only set maybe max 10 to 15 minutes a day to go through them. On some days, I don't really read my emails at all. Because I feel that, like if you have to email me, then maybe it's not that urgent because there are so many other channels that you can reach out to me. And email is just one of the slowest channels that I would actually reply. Yeah, so I think it's also equally important to balance work with life by actually planning time for rest. So doing this can actually help us to feel more ready to spend time with our loved ones, our husband, and actually, give them the attention and quality time that they deserve. I actually experienced burnout myself when we first started working from home because the boundary is just super blurred. It's so easy to just, like open the laptop and just start working and say, oh, you're like, hold on, mama needs to work. Yep, and I'll get back to you later and close the door on him. But when I was doing my reflection at the end of the day, I just felt like this is not rewarding for me as a parent. And I want it to be rewarding enough for me as a co-founder of a company and as a parent of a mother of a son. So what I did then was to turn off all distractions. So I would put my laptop away, I would put my phone away and just tune out of work by reading or studying on my Kobo or any other devices that don't have any messaging apps. Yeah, so that really helped me to just carve out a little bit of time that is really good quality for the people that deserve it most at home. Yeah, so that's my way of balancing it out a little bit.
Thanks, Jazz. Okay, question for you, Vinny. What keeps you motivated?
That's a good one. So if I talk about recruitment, like my career, at the start, I think initially quite early and over time was definitely the relationship that I have built with my business contact, clients and candidate. So I think that's what really gives me the sense of accomplishment, that knowing that whether I've done my job well, and when I've done it well, the business contact, they will come back to me and they will want to work with me even exclusively. So that is something that gives me that job satisfaction. But if I were to go deeper about what will keep me going when there's up and downs in my career or in my job, I would share that it's probably deeper into the fundamental values. Like family would be at the top for my family values. And it's a very fundamental needs for me. And for me, is be able to give a better life for my family. So that is something that when I have a bad day, I know that I have a strong family, peer, social support that's there for me. And ultimately, if there's challenges or unhappiness at a job, I know that I still have my family supporting. And at the end of the day, there's no point to inflict that unhappiness onto my family if to actually bring any unhappiness back home. So I kind of leave it at the door. So they don't get to see like the negative side or the whining. Like I don't let the negative stay, because I know like what's important, what are my values. So I think that's something more fundamental.
Thanks, Vin.
Welcome.
A question for both of you. Or having been on receiving end, and this is from Nathan, so thank you very much, Nathan. Having been on receiving end and giving end of mentoring journey, what you wish you known earlier? What's the best? Oh, I like this one. What's the best and worst advice you received? Maybe one takes. Maybe one takes.
Really, sorry, I've got a really funny one I just thought of, and Jess can jump in anytime. Because I actually had so during the matching program, we actually get to meet a number of mentors before we decided, and before eventually I got matched with James. So I've got one, maybe not the worst, but it just didn't resonate with me, and it's a little bit funny rather than worse. I wouldn't say it's a worst advice. But one of the mentor actually advised that I learn cooking, so that when I have a team, I can actually cook really good food, and that's the way to the stomach to for the team to like me, is to actually get the stomach get them well fed, basically. So I thought that's quite a funny one that I've received before. I don't know, Jess, whether you got any best advice or worst advice.
Yeah, the best advice that I've received is actually to just go and do it and try. Like, what's the worst that can come out of it? And it's a very good reminder for myself to, like have my own conclusion on things and to actually give it a try before I come to any conclusion at all. Don't just base it off another person's experience. Have it for yourself and see for yourself, because this is your life. Yep. So every time I talk to this mentor of mine, he would ask me, what do you really feel? What do you really think? and how does that affect you as a person if you were to go through with this decision. Yeah, so I think that is very, very empowering, because at the end of the day, we do have to answer to, you know, our actions, and have all these consequences from these actions. And it's just a very stark reminder for myself when I do have to make some very tough decisions. The worst advice is actually also linked to this. I really hate like those riddles or situations where people ask you to choose between like a $5 note and a $10 note, because I feel that as long as it's taking one side of things, not considering like, you know, the gray area around these two other options, then I think it's not a comprehensive enough answer or well thought out answer to any question that one may have. So for myself, I really don't like having to choose between either or, but actually having the freedom to choose in a greater aspect. Yeah, I love the gray area, and it's one of the reasons why the Ayuga brand is mostly white and gray. Yeah, so that's also one of the reasons why, like, I mean, the world is really very gray. It's not black and white like what we are taught when we are really young. And in this journey in our 30s, that is the period of time where you defy everything that you've learned in your 20s or in your teens. And it's just a very exciting phase to be in. And after this phase, hopefully when we become wiser, we will look back at all these phases that we've gone through, and we will know that it's just a rite of passage. And you know, the world that you see will still be black and white because of how pure it is and how you've overcome all these challenges along the way to appreciate the black and white again. Yeah, so I do want to progress through that phase in the next, you know, 10 years with a more fruitful experience, especially so connected, connecting myself to a younger audience. A very huge believer in reverse mentoring as well. Yeah, so that's the best and worst advice throughout my career.
Okay, thanks, Jazz. Okay, Vinny, a question for you from Jordan. How was it trying to stand out in a male-dominated industry at the beginning of your career?
Yeah, that's a really good one, because I definitely have faced it constantly throughout, because in a boardroom with all the managers, right now I'm the only female in the boardroom of 6. And it used to be I'm 1 out of 2 among 10 in the management team of pod leaders for the different verticals. So I'm quite used to being in a male-dominated room or industry. I would say there's definitely the challenges that I face. I've also gotten being on the receiving end of negative assumption where I'm not being considered for promotion because I'm not as loud, or I'm not the character that will always be the loudest in the boardroom, or in terms of speaking up. So I think there's definitely that challenges, and every challenges that I face, I try to see it in a very logical manner. So if they are talking about loud, then I try to break it down. What is it that I'm missing? But instead of trying to be loud, I will make sure anything that I say in the boardroom, there is the value add, and there is a different perspective that I'm sharing with the team. And at the same time, any challenges that comes my way, whenever I felt like I'm not being considered because I'm female, or because of any reason, I will try to tackle in a very logical manner and prove myself by results. So that has been how it's going for me. And I'm also quite happy that in my current company, my bosses are very receptive. And when I first got into Next Wave, we are also quite male dominated in terms of ratio, probably only 2 or 3 female on the sales floor, and then the rest, about 15, are male. So then one of my initiatives I wanted to do is to make sure we get to a 50-50 ratio, get an even ratio. And then right now we actually managed to get even ratio company-wide. My team is actually, we've got too many females now. So I need to be hiring more guys to even out that ratio. But it's that constant journey to make sure everyone is on board, to look into even our recruitment phase. How do we get more female applicants? But ultimately it's all very meritocracy, all results driven. And I look at it in a very logical way of proving myself to get a hit.
Okay, thanks, Vinny. I think we've got time for 3 more questions. So I'll give the first one to Jazz. So quick answers here if you can. What are 3 key skills to cultivate highly sought after in the modern workforce? When you're looking to recruit? I mean, I could ask both of you, but I'll ask you, Jazz. So this is from Sarah Chan. So thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Sarah. I really like this question because we do a lot of hiring. So the number one thing that I look for is actually communication, because we have teams regionally in different countries, and more than just like speaking a different language, I think communication skills also involve active listening and having excellent presentation, writing capabilities. How do you explain concepts to partners, to customers and co-workers who maybe aren't that tech savvy, or do not understand a certain problem as well as you do? I think this is one very, very highly sought after communication skill in all industries. So the better you are at communicating what you want and what you don't want to other people, the better they are able to understand where you are at and how to help to elevate your position to where you want to be. Yeah, so I'm a huge believer in that. Another skill that I can think of is actually creativity. A lot of people think that creativity is a skill that is reserved for the artists and all the people that are in the media industry. I think it is very different, and it's a very underrated soft skill, because it usually takes someone creative to appreciate the need for others to be creative. But for myself, I feel that creativity isn't just being an artist. It also means how resourceful you are at problem solving and just coming up with different ideas, innovative ideas, to find a solution to a problem that you have at work or in a personal life. Yeah, so I don't think we have time for me to go into a short story. So the next soft skill that I would prioritize, why I prioritize soft skills above any technical skills, is because the time taken to build soft skills is not taught in school. So you also need to interact with a huge variety of people in order to build this up out of school. And in school, they teach you how to be really, really good workers, and technical skills are just something that can be learned within a certain time period, which is why I don't really prioritize on that. So when I'm looking for a like-minded individual to join my team, I'm actually very keen on people who are more adaptable. So I like to ask them questions of like, how did you navigate this in your previous role, and what are your thoughts on a certain problem or issue that you had in your previous workplace or in your previous experience, and how did you get out of that mindset or perspective? So because today's world is very, very tech driven, and everything's just happening really fast. You have changes happening rapidly, especially in the business environment. So I feel that if you are very adaptable to all these changes and not opposed to it at all, that is already a very good start to have. Yeah, but as you build on it more and more, as you meet with more challenges, and you get into a different perspective to view this problem creatively, I feel that these 3 skills actually come together to build that resilience and the character that we seek for in a business environment.
Okay, thanks, Jazz. 3 quick words. Okay. I know my mentor, Braille, is going to tell me off, but I'm going to ask one more question, because there are so many. And I'm going to be very cheeky here because you know each other very well. So one word to describe the other person.
Oh,
One word.
we
One word.
actually discussed this.
One
and
word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Should I
think
go
we,
first?
No,
Or you wanna go first?
one word.
I'll go first because I forgot the word that is used to describe me. But I remember the word that I had in mind when we were discussing this over ice cream one fine night. Yeah,
One
so
word.
for me, really encompasses the word empathy. Yeah, but she
Empathy.
is a very giving person, and from young, it has been her motto in life to sharing is caring. So she really believes in it 100%. She is very humble and she's so successful. And I don't even understand like how someone so successful can be so perfect in other areas as well. To want to, like do social work, to go out of her way to help someone in need. If you are ever in need, you can just like call on her name and be sure that she will be there. Yeah,
LinkedIn
she
me.
is. She is that kind of like pillar of support for me. So just putting it out there that that's how I see her.
That's really sweet.
Thank you,
I-
Jazz.
I
Vinny,
know we're
your
out
turn.
of time. Jazz is definitely adventurous. I think she's probably one of the most adventurous girl and friends that I have, where it shows really well in terms of studying Ayuga or her journey, where she's not afraid to take risks and just go for it. So that really encompasses like how she's been even when she's young. She's the one that if you ask, she's very spontaneous. If you ask her want to try out anything new or want to go bungee jump or anything, she will be scared, but she'll still go for it. So very adventurous. I think that has gotten her really far also in her entrepreneurial career. And it's a trait I constantly admire, and I think it's great to actually see that in her.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
it
really-
really is spot on.
We're really out of time, ladies. I would like to, what would I like to say? Before we hand back to Braille, I would just like once again to thank both of you for your vulnerability, your passion, and awesome energy in supporting this great initiative by sharing your stories. I mean, we could have gone on for hours. I would also like to salute the audience for your participation and energy. Thank you. Also, there are some questions in the chat. I will make sure that the ladies get these questions, and they're going to be around for the rest of the evening anyway, so hopefully they get a chance. Finally, in respect to my earlier comment about surrounding yourself with positive people, a huge, huge thank you to my friends in the audience who continually support and kick my butt when needed. I would not be here without your encouragement. You know who you are. So thank you ever so much to the ladies again, and back to you, Braille. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jesslyn, Vinny, and James for such an enriching, inspiring session. I loved hearing all your stories. And I was supposed to actually summarize the key takeaways from the sharing, but there were so many. It's just impossible to do that because I'll then take over the rest of the night. So I just have 3 main points. Okay, one of the points that I heard is to live your dreams. Okay, live your dreams, right? And be not afraid to work hard to pursue your dreams, right? Second point that I got from your sharing, which is from Vinny. It's always better to give than to receive. So having a purpose in life for both of you, from what I'm hearing, is really your family, your value systems that motivates and drives you to be where you are today, really keeps you to be the best in every day, in everything that you do. So that's awesome, right? Finding that purpose. And the third is that to try out as many opportunities as you can so that you can discover what you don't like, but also at the same time discover what you love. And through all that trying out, have as many conversations as you can with your mentors, and from the mentoring relationships, learn as much as you can so that you can open new doors. That's what Jesslyn said, right? And also learn new knowledge, right? So Vinny shared about reverse mentoring, and Vinny said mentoring is indeed a partnership. So wonderful, wonderful sharing, ladies. And James, the man in the thorn among the roses. Now let's proceed to the next segment, which is the group mentoring session, where everyone will have a chance to interact and discuss questions with a mentor. This segment will last for about 30 minutes, and I hope everyone will have a fruitful time. And so we're now going to send you into your breakout rooms. So feel free to ask your mentors any questions that you like, and they'll be happy to facilitate. So Ruth, can you help us send us to our breakout rooms? Thank you all. And we'll come back after 30 minutes to join the main session again. Thank you. Okay, so we hope all of you had a wonderful conversation with your mentors.
Oh, yes, you bet.
Yeah, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the team for working tirelessly in the last 6 months. Okay, so look at all this beautiful and handsome men there, okay? So this is the team that has been working tirelessly in the last 6 months to organize this movement. And really like to give a wonderful of applause, okay, to every one of them. This movement or this program would never have been possible without these 6 individuals, including myself with self-praise. Okay, so to help us prepare the next workshop to meet your needs, could I trouble all of you to help me answer our poll here? I'm just going to call for a poll right now. So we have about close to 86% who have voted. Okay, so 88 now actually, yeah. So I think we're good. Okay, let me just hand over to Justin to close this workshop. So over to you, Justin.
Thank you, Bill and the team, for making this workshop possible. If you enjoyed the short mentoring experience and would like to kickstart your mentoring journey, do consider signing up for the MYAIM program. It's a 3-month program that brings mentoring to youths aged 17 to 25, with hopes of facilitating self-discovery and their growth towards their fullest potential. This program comprises workshops by mentors, mentoring sessions, the access to a wide range of online resources, and if you wish to be a mentor or mentee, do access the corresponding QR codes on the slide or the links in the Zoom chat. We would also like your help to fill up an evaluation form so that we can improve subsequent workshops. Do refer to the slide and the Zoom chat to access the form as well. I'll now give everyone some time to access the QR codes and links.
Thank you, Justin. Just to do a bit of sales speech here, when people hear about mentoring for 3 months, it sounds like a very long time. Just like to share that actually the mentorship journey is comprising of 6 one-hour sessions, which is basically just 6 hours of your time over 3 months. So don't feel daunted. Don't think that it's so daunting. Have a conversation with your mentors, and you'll be able to adjust according to your own schedule. So I'd like to encourage anyone who has not signed up to join us, and we look forward to be able to help you in this life journey. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for supporting, especially mentors, and all the attendees for joining us. Thank you all, and I hope wish you all a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week ahead. So looking forward to see you all next in our next month's workshop. Goodbye and good night.